all-new Toyota RAV4 is here, and it's better than ever. That might seem like a big call. There have been some pretty impressive examples of the RAV4 over the years, but it's come a long way since that diminutive little model that launched way back in 1994. It looks more substantial, that's one thing compared to the previous model, but it's also safer, smarter, and more stylish. You've got to agree with that, right? This time around, you could say Toyota's built a more compelling SUV, one that deserves to do well, not just because of its badge, but perhaps in spite of it. And the look of this new RAV4 is enough to set it apart from some of its fierce competitors. It looks angry and really masculine, unlike, say, the Honda CR-V and Mazda CX-5. We'll take a look at the model range next, but before we go any further, make sure you hit like and also click subscribe. There are 4 grades in the 2019 Toyota RAV4 model range, but it gets a little bit complicated from there. Here is your explainer.
Opening the range is the entry-level GX model, which is available with a 2-litre petrol engine and front-wheel drive, with either a manual gearbox or a CVT automatic. The GX variant is also available with the option of a 2.5-litre hybrid drivetrain, which can be had in front or all-wheel drive. Next up is the GXL version, which is sold with the option of a 2-litre petrol front-wheel drive auto or that 2.5-litre hybrid with front or all-wheel drive. Third in the model range is the Cruiser variant, and just like the model below it, you've got the choice of a petrol front drive auto or hybrid with front or all-wheel drive. And topping the range is the Edge version. It's the only one with a 2.5-litre petrol engine without electric power, so there's no hybrid variant available here. It also sports a slightly different look to the rest of the range, both inside and out.
This Cruiser hybrid version might not be as edgy as the Edge, but it does get some nice shiny elements and big black 18-inch alloy wheels. To me, it really lives up to that original name, which was Recreational Active Vehicle with 4-wheel drive. Now, though, they want to rebrand that as Robust Accurate Vehicle with 4-wheel drive, and robust is pretty much what it looks like from here. Tell us what you think in the comments section below. But the funny thing is that it's actually just a little bit shorter than its predecessor. The boot space in this model is better than it was before by about 17%. You do get a quite slow electric tailgate on some models, but the size of the boot is huge and the opening is very generous as well, which is great for those adventurous families that Toyota's marketing this car to. Backseat space in the RAV4 is probably well, it's got to be close to best in class. The seat here is set in my position. I've got heaps of knee room in front of me, good foot room and good head room as well, and that's even with a sunroof up front. Now, in terms of accommodation back here, you've got a really nice, flat, comfortable seat. You've got a flip-down armrest with cup holders, and you've also got rear seat air vents, which is important, and they're across every model in the range. In this version, the Cruiser, you also get extra USB charge points down the back here, which is good for kids. There's only one map pocket, but there are good-sized bottle holders in the doors. Now, let's have a look up front. Every model in the new RAV4 range gets this big 8-inch touchscreen media system, which also gets hard buttons down the side, and you get volume controls that are dials rather than buttons on the screen, which is a big bonus. Believe me, it is. Now, there's no Apple CarPlay to start with and no Android Auto either, but by the end of 2019, Toyota will be offering that tech, and it's probably important to note that even if you buy one now, you will be eligible to upgrade to Apple CarPlay and Android Auto for free later on, so keep that in mind. In terms of the design, it's quite simple, but also reasonably elegant. It's better than the previous generation RAV4, which was quite hard plasticky and a little bit unpleasant, I have to say, but there are nice elements in here like this shelf that runs along in front of the passenger, which is kind of what you get in a Kluger, and it makes it feel a bit bigger in here and a bit more thoughtful. In this grade, you also get wireless phone charging in front of the shifter, and there's decent storage in between the seats, plus a couple more USB points in there. So everyone should be able to keep charged up and happy on the road trip. Speaking of which, it's about time we hit the road. So far on the launch drive of the RAV4, I've spent all my time in the 2.5-litre all-wheel drive hybrid version, and that's been across a few different grades. But I will say this, that the hybrid system is truly efficient. on our quick loop out of Adelaide to a winery somewhere in the hills, we managed to get just 5.5 litres per 100 kilometres. Now, that's impressive no matter which way you look at it, because that was a mix of city and highway driving. There was only 2 on board, sure, but it was still pretty good. And the fact that the RAV4 offers benchmark fuel consumption for its class, well, it's proof that you can get that in the real world as well. It's no wonder Toyota thinks that of this new generation version, 40% of sales will be hybrids. It makes perfect sense. The fact that there are hybrids does come at the expense of diesel, and that could be an issue for some people. And there's no high-tech turbocharged engine to be found in any model in the RAV4 range. I've got to say, generally, the RAV4s I've driven so far have been pretty impressive. The ride comfort is mostly very good. It can be a little bit jittery over higher speed bumps, but over rougher sections of gravel, it's proved pretty comfortable. And around town, it was comfortable as well. So, the ride we've come to expect from this new TNGA platform, it's lived up to our expectations. And the steering too. Now, Toyota, as I've said in the start of this video, they want to rebadge the RAV4 name to mean robust and accurate, and I think accurate sums up the steering perfectly. It's very predictable, you know exactly what's going to happen, and generally with the all-wheel drive system, you've got peace of mind as well. Now, it does have a CVT automatic transmission, and there will be haters out there who go, CVT, I hate the noise, they don't do a good enough job. You're wrong. It's an application by application thing, and in a hybrid SUV for families, a CVT is perfectly acceptable. Take it from me. The TNGA platform is also, well, criticised a little bit for being a tad noisy in terms of road noise, and there is a little bit of intrusion to contend with in that regard, but I don't have to raise my voice too much for people to hear me in the back seat, which is good. And there's only just a little bit of wind noise to contend with as well at highway speeds, just around the mirrors really. In terms of whether there's anything to be spoken of in driving thrills, the hybrid system does offer a decent amount of shove. You put your foot down and it will push you back in your seat, and the actual noise of the engine and the battery and everything working together isn't too bad. It's kind of enjoyable. Yeah, a hybrid that's kind of enjoyable from Toyota. How about that? So there you go. The Toyota RAV4 2019 model is indeed the best version yet. It's also the boldest and the bulkiest, and it could well be the most successful ever. We can't wait to spend a bit more time in different models in the RAV4 range, and also to see how it stacks up against some of its closest competitors with a comparison test we're working on already. Stay tuned for that, and also don't forget to hit subscribe.